What's going on, guys? Mitch here. Welcome to the vlog. So I guess some news. I got a new bike today and I'm going out for my first ride on it that I've ever done. So come along, let's shake this 2024 Cervelo Aspero. Let's shake it loose and I'll give you some thoughts of my first impressions on what this thing's like. Come along, let's go.
Sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Guys, so a couple first impressions, and I figured I would come down to my favorite lake. I've done a lot of new bike day test rides down here, and this is kind of the easiest place to come and try out some different terrains, some different surfaces, test the gearing, which is one topic that I'm surprised no one really mentions during a lot of reviews on gravel bikes, especially when someone's looking for the one bike to do everything. Is it's not as typically easy as just throwing a wheel set on and saying, oh, now it's a road bike. But we'll talk more about that. So a couple things. It's been now, geez, it's been a couple years since I've ridden anything over 432C on the bike, which is kind of crazy to think about. The last gravel bike I had was a Santa Cruz Stigmata, which was basically pulled from my cold dead hands, and I regret selling that bike big time. It just fits so well, and it was just a really good bike. And anyway, so first impressions of the Aspero in 2024. I read all the reviews 10 times going into this, and I kind of knew what I'm getting into here. So let's kind of get started. So first and foremost, it's actually quite surprisingly stiff, but very forgiving compared to something like my S5. So think of this as, it's a racier gravel bike, especially compared to the Stigmata. It's a racier gravel bike. You know what, why don't I pull over up here and we'll show you the bike obviously in detail, talk about why I bought this build, and some of just the first impressions that we kind of have just briefly touched on here as we're riding. So let's do that now while the sun is pointing this way. Perfect. All right, so there we go. This is the 2024 Cervelo Aspero, which is pretty cool. I think they call it like, I call it blue, but they've got a weird name for it, charcoal something, I don't know. Anyway, let's take a look at it. So a couple of first impressions here. As you can see, I went with the basic SRAM build. This is the Apex Mechanical 12-speed. And this is because I assumed that there's going to be some future upgrades, updates, changes made to the bike, and I didn't want to go too crazy too fast on it. Since I actually just picked up that Cervelo S5, I quite frankly couldn't go crazy with this. And it's a gravel bike. Like, unless you're racing, there's really no need. So a couple changes right off the hop. I went with the Specialized Power Pro mirror, which is obviously my favorite saddle. Other than I went with the the aluminum titanium hollow tie rail version, which is a few $100 less, which is nice. I put road pedals on just for today, but I actually do have some Cervelo SPD power meter pedals, which I haven't tried out, but that'll be something I'll try out at some point once we work out the fit and everything. As it sits today, the saddle definitely feels a little bit far forward, and I don't have much room, but I figure I've got about another 5 mils. I'll probably pull that back just a hair. The gearing on this is one thing I'd like to actually touch on as we kind of ride back today, but the gearing is definitely geared to go up a hill, but it's one by with a 42, is it? 40 tooth, even less, 40 tooth. And I remember when I had my Stigmata, when I was running it 1x10, I think I opted for a 42 tooth on the front. So that's an easy change. That's a chainring. As you can see, obviously it has as well complete stock wheel set. These are aluminum Boondock, I think 7Ds. You know, pretty standard, nothing too crazy, nothing too spectacular. but it's a good, just, you know, first ride on it, just to kind of see what it's all about. I ordered a set of Roval C38s, which is kind of an all-round kind of mixed surface, light duty gravel wheel, which will do just fine on this bike. Lifetime warranty, 2 years, and a really good deal on it, which I obviously appreciate. So, you know, so far so good, nothing too crazy. I definitely notice it's a really comfortable but soft ride compared to the S5, like way softer, and that's probably more to do with aluminum rims and 40C tires. Like, that's the beauty of this. The old bike 38C was kind of the ISO rated max. I think now it's a little more, like 40, 45, 44, something like that. So 40 is quite comfortable. I could see myself going down. 40 is a big tire. Like, it's a very light mountain bike tire at that point. What else? We've got obviously the integrated front derailleur mount, but like I said, I'm running 1x, but that is a nice feature, and all the cable routing is internal, right, for that, as well as now we've got the internal routing underneath the stem, which I don't know if the GoPro is going to be able to see, but it goes inside the headset, which is just nice and tidy. And there's some claims on that, you know, 5 watts or 8 watts faster. It's negligible. It's a gravel bike, guys. Like, it doesn't really matter, but it is faster, and it just looks tidier, in all honesty. From my perspective, some changes, like I mentioned, the pedals are gonna have to change. The drivetrain gearing, I'd like to talk about on the way back, just because it's a gravel bike. And then I actually raised up the front end as high as it would go. I went with a 58, and as you guys know, I'm under 6'3" by a little bit, 6'2" and a bit. So I'm on the upper sized range by, I think, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters under max. So I just figure it's a gravel bike, may as well be comfortable. It's going to be just a chiller. So brought that up compared to the S5, which is nice. And then the seat post is obviously run pretty high, and it's an aluminum post. I could see if I want to kind of lighten things up, there's lots of room. I'm just gonna get on this. There's lots of room here to lighten things up, which is kind of the reason I went with a base model more than anything. Simply because if I want to, I can. If it becomes like this super fun, amazing ride that I want to really get lighter and make faster, then, you know, the opportunity's there. But if not, which it is what it is, I'm totally comfortable leaving it the way it is. So that's cool. So it's pretty cool on a day like today where I'm literally doing my normal road route. And if you can't tell, if this is your first time on the channel, I ride a lot of road bikes. I came from a mountain biking, actually a downhill mountain biking race background, and kind of got into road biking over the last 4 years or so, and went full into that. And then now we're kind of coming and trying out some more gravel again, just for fun. Anyway, so it is really, really nice that on a day like today, if I want to take a different path ride home, it's totally feasible compared to normal, where you're totally sticking to just like complete tarmac surfaces on the S5 or the Athos. And it's like you almost have to change your mind on what you can and can't ride now, because you're essentially on a little mountain bike. You can go wherever the hell you want, which is so cool and so fun. And it just brings the excitement of riding again back into things. Like, you feel like a kid again. It's so strange. So we're definitely going to be hitting a bit of a gravel route on the way back, and I'm sure we'll vlog during that and talk about it. But more than anything, I'm just going to enjoy it. As for the next big discussion, for those people who think, hey, I'll just get a gravel bike and I'll throw road wheels on it and that's that. You know, it's a little different than that. Sure, get a set of road wheels and slicks, the bike's just gonna get faster. Your gearing is gonna change completely. And in the standard configuration like I have, which is 12-speed Apex with a 1x40 tooth, you outrun those gears so much faster than you would on a 2x setup. So the one thing, if I'm looking at this bike as a quote, do it all, do everything, road a little, I'd run it 2x, just because it doesn't make any sense to do otherwise. So that would be the only caveat I would say on this bike, is if you're buying it as a road do it all bike, definitely gear to 2x, just because you'll be able to do more with it. And I have a few friends on the old Aspero, they both went 2x. Look at this view, guys. How sick is this? Unreal. I normally don't go this way just because this particular section of path is too rough. So once again, you can. It's so cool. So that would be the only thing I would say is depending on what you want, if you're truly going off-road gravel where there's a lot of bumps, where you might shake a chain loose, 1x is the way to go. Or if you want to take it on the road with a 1x, you're gonna have to gear it quite differently. Probably you might even need a couple different chain rings and cassettes to get to where you want to go. Tons of people, eh? Like, to give you an example, right now I'm going 29 kilometers an hour on bike path, and let's take a look at what gear I'm in here. I think I have 3 gears left, so not a ton. And conversely, I'm not going to use the top rings unless I'm truly climbing it off-road, up, you know, fire roads, etc. Which some people do, and that's why it's geared this way. It's to do everything. But just like I said, gear it for you, gear it for your trails, gear it for your roads, and that's it. I'm actually gonna head over here to the, this sounds silly, but I'm gonna go to the pump track and just bounce around for a few minutes because I can. And it's been a while since I've ridden pump track on anything. So why the hell not? Let's go do it. I tell you guys, this is fun. This is just silly, unadult-rated fun. Obviously, I look ridiculous in a complete road kit, but it is so fun to ride a gravel bike and just, like, I just rode, did a little bike discussion vlog, went to the pump track and rode there for 15 minutes, and now I get to ride back on the road and mix surface. Talk about a fun recovery ride. This is great. That's what it's all about, man. This is what riding is all about. So cool. Well, I'm gonna ride back home and probably talk more about the bike after I finish the ride, and I'll point out a couple more things once the bike's indoors, and we'll chat. All right, see you back there. All right, guys, so we're back from the ride. Went really, really well. Great first ride and great first impression on the Cervelo Aspero 2024. So here we go. This is it, as we've already showed a few times in the video. A couple things, just as, I guess, a reminder to myself to change. Seat needs to come back a little bit, and likely maybe up by maybe about 5 mil. Otherwise, shifting's good, actually really good. I find the bottom 6 gears are essentially like a 2x10 big ring, and the top 6 gears are the opposite of that. But they're just so far apart per gear that it's just like you spin one out and then it's like clunk into the next one. Spin one out, clunk. It's not nice and crisp and smooth like a 2x would be, but it is what it is. It's a gravel bike, man. What are you expecting? Back end's nice and soft. Everything's just nice and soft with the 40 mil tires. Nothing too crazy there. It's just very different than a road bike. Honestly, it's just something I need to get used to. Good clearance. Look at this. Lots of clearance in the back, lots of clearance in the front. You could go absolutely huge with this. I'm really floored at how sharp the handling is still. It feels like a road bike, a little higher, a little slacker, but still quite sharp. I wasn't expecting that, which is cool. So that's kind of it. I figured I'd take you along, see the bike for the first ride, and come along. There's gonna be some more vlogs coming up as I kind of change and modify the bike and everything. So hopefully you guys are gonna come along with me and enjoy it. So that's it for now, guys. Have yourself a great week, and more to come on this. Later. Peace.